happening here, if we are going to grow at a rate of 15% per annum from now up to 2030 every year at a rate of 15% per annum, then we are going to reach 4 billion by 2030. So you see, it's a bit of a tough task, at hand. If we are going to grow by 20% every year until 2030, then by the end of 2030, we should be achieving $6 billion. Now you're wondering, we're just about 3 years away from 2025, what needs to be done? If we're growing at 30% per annum, then even we're going to reach only $11 billion by 2030. Now here's the thing. If we are going to grow by 15% per annum over the next 3 years, then only we will be able to reach that 5 billion target. Now, if Bangladesh continues at 55% growth per annum, which is a really tall task, then by the year 2030, we should be reaching $50 billion. But the growth doesn't happen in that way. But essentially, when the base is small, and I think currently our export base is small, which is $1.4 billion. So I think initially, the first 3-4 years, probably we can generate high growth rate. Think about the garment industry in the 1980s. In that decade, Bangladesh's garment industry exports grew at a rate of 40-50%. So looking at that, I would think that over the next 3 years, growth momentum can be established. It may not be 55%, but I think we can do much better than what we have been doing recently. So I think we can always build a realistic scenario before us. So we could think maybe in the next 3 years, we are going to increase the base, and then we maintain a moderate growth rate of 30%, then that will take us to $23 billion in 2030. But if you're asking me, to be honest, and be realistic, then I would say from this particular chart, that let's target maybe $11 billion by 2030. That will be more realistic ask, and we have got a slightly wider time frame to think about it. But having said that, I see a lot of momentum taking place. Only last year, my firm, Rapid, they undertook a survey of Bangladeshi exporter of ICTs. And we asked them one simple question. How you are envisaging your growth for the next, say, 3 to 4 years? And the response they gave, we found that about 40% firms, they said that they think they are going to see their export revenue double over the next 3 to 4 years. And that's, I think, a really good positive sign for us, Then 28% of the farms, they said that they expect the growth will be about, 50%. So over the next 3 to 4 years, they will make their export grow by 50%. So kind of, there is that expectation as well that, Bangladesh can do well. So that's one issue. The other thing is this, we have also seen significant dynamism in the area of investment. And especially if you look at the year 2019-20, just immediately prior to COVID-19 shock, in that year, of the total amount of foreign direct investment that Bangladesh got in that year, of that, almost 30% was due to this ICT sector. So that was a super performance by this particular sector. Overall, currently, if you think about the stock of all investment that has gone into the ICT sector, the stock, then that stock is about 25% of all Bangladesh's foreign direct investment stock. So that is, again, a kind of an impressive statistics that we can provide. And there are major countries like the UK, some firms from other European countries, especially the Netherlands, Malaysia, America, and India. I mean, they have also invested, into this particular sector. There are also other statistics, to be hopeful about. As you all know, Bangladesh is the second largest online workers supplying countries. So like, the people, the freelancers, who work online, if you consider their numbers, we are the second largest, only after India. Another significant, I would say, strength of this particular industry. Now, I must also tell you, it is not only about export, and this is something I would like to give you so that you can take home and you understand the significance of this ICT sector. ICT sector is not only about export growth, okay? There are 5 critical areas where ICT sector can contribute massively. Of course, one is the export and growth, and the data that we have, as countries' per capita GDP grows, as you can see in this chart, their share of ICT exports go up. So that's a good thing to happen, and also Bangladesh is on that route. But the second thing is, ICT is also about connectivity. It connects people, it connects farms, and then it connects people and farms. And then it helps achieve innovation. All these factors, they promote growth. So even the ICT sector is growing, and that has got important implications for the rest of the economy. It doesn't have to be export. So that point will have to be understood very clearly. These days, we talk about what? We talk about fourth industrial revolution. And as you have seen, people will be telling you that 1780s was the beginning of industrial revolution. You move on to 1870, the second industrial revolution, third, and now we are into the fourth industrial revolution, right? Four. And if you would think about each element of the fourth industrial revolution, what are the elements? And these elements are all these. Robotic system in the production processes, big data analytics that we are all doing, cloud computing, cyber security, you name it. These are the elements of fourth industrial revolution. Now, for each of the component, ICT plays a central role. So you cannot achieve 4 IR unless and until you have a solid ICT sector. And that is one point that I would like to also share with you. So going ahead, if Bangladesh's growth, where we want to be in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, what kind of transformation that we are going to see in our economy will be defined and determined by the nature of the ICT sector that we can grow at home. And then, of course, export as well. Some of you may have heard the word we call these days servicification of manufacturing. So suppose we are making furniture, we are making plastic goods, garments. But these days, increasingly more and more services are being used, and those are being used more efficiently. That is why we say servicification of manufacturing. Now, manufacturing sector, or any sector for that matter, it can also be agriculture. If we are not going to use ICT, our productivity will be compromised. We won't be able to produce efficiently. We won't be competitive enough. So this is something, and I wanted to tell you that ICT sector's importance goes much beyond than only the export target, that we have. Okay. Now, as you know, that Bangladesh has now set up the ambition of being a smart economy. I know there is another discussion taking place in the other room. This transformation from the current state to smart economy will critically depend on the ICT sector, how we are going to make use of it. And after COVID-19, we have seen the push for the growth towards the ICT sector, not only in Bangladesh, but elsewhere. And that will continue. And things are changing pretty fast, and we need to be pretty productive, innovative, and take advantage of the ICT sector. Now, the government of Bangladesh is really trying hard, and many initiatives they have undertaken. I have summarized a few here. Basically, it is trying to provide media classroom in many schools. Hundreds and thousands of teachers are being trained. Then we have seen fiscal and non-fiscal incentives as well. But also, the government is taking a lot of initiatives for skill development, which is extremely important. On the fiscal incentives, there are some cash assistance for exporters, but also other incentives related to investment and other priority areas. Now, that takes me to tell you what we should be doing to address the constraint that the ICT sector is facing. Because if we are not going to address them, we won't be able to achieve $5 billion, we won't be able to achieve $10 billion. So these are the constraints that must be addressed carefully. Now, you see, I have got only a few in the list, and you might say, no, I have omitted so many things. We can always make the list very long, but if you're asking me, I would say there are basically 4 things that we need to address, 4 major things. Number 1, infrastructure. Our internet connectivity and the quality of internet. With this, if we are not going to improve our standard, the services, then perhaps we won't be able to achieve much. There are certain international statistics that do not look nice. For example, internet cost is about in Bangladesh, I think I have lost the connectivity, but anyway, the internet cost in Bangladesh is 7 times higher, I mean broadband, than the global average. And that is, of course, affecting the business. So that's one issue. The second thing is also, when you think about the mobile internet, we're doing well, like, in terms of cost. So when you compare Bangladesh with the rest of the world, then for mobile internet, the one we use on a mobile phone, Bangladesh is the 12th cheapest country. But if you think about the quality, then Bangladesh, we are ranked 125th out of a total of 139 countries. So essentially, the low cost of internet services we are providing through mobile, that is being undermined by this weak quality. So Bangladesh will have to invest a lot into this infrastructure if our firms are going to be globally competitive. I think that is a message I would like to tell very strongly and clearly. The second thing, the second major thing that we need to address, skills gap. And here again, I think we know these days quite significant amount of information that we have to make this point clear. Last year, when Rapid undertook this survey, and we asked entrepreneurs, like, what is the condition of the skill gap in the industry? And the findings were quite revealing. We realized that almost 90% firms, they told us the quality of graduates that we get is not good for our growth. So essentially, the farm owners, they have to invest a lot in training those graduates, who are applying for the jobs. That is the message we get. So one issue is the skills can be of two types in the ICT sector. The technical skills, like whether you know the language, you can do the programming, that's one kind of skill. But it's also about the soft skill, the command over English, whether you can make a good presentation or not, how outgoing you are in dealing with your clients. Those issues are also becoming very important, and most of the entrepreneurs that we interviewed, they told us that that is becoming a significant barrier for doing business in Bangladesh. I think we need to pay serious attention to that as well. The third constraint that I would like to highlight is the fact that, like in every industry, we say that we need to catch up with the people who are really productive, competitive. In this particular sector, we are also getting into that problem. So we need to catch up technologically and also by moving up the, what is called the technology ladder. So last year, what we did from Rapid, we took the survey and we are trying to find out what kind of programming languages that our IT firms are using. But to be honest, I am not an IT expert, so please, excuse my ignorance. But the point that I'm going to tell you is this. So we're trying to find out what Bangladeshi firms are focusing on in terms of the program and language, and what Indian firms are specializing. And we realized that in India, for example, there is a lot of emphasis on Kotlin. Please don't ask me what is that, I don't know. R and ABAP. And in Bangladesh, we are not yet kind of, in close race with India and other players, in those programming language kind of thing. So that is an area we need to catch up if we want to get high value exporting order in the coming days. Recently, there has been a global survey, they call it Global Competitiveness in Tech Services. And in that survey, we also get some information about where Bangladesh stands in terms of its ranking. So we find out that in general, Bangladesh is doing quite all right. Especially when it comes to financial attractiveness, Bangladesh has got tremendous advantage. I mean, like our income is growing. It's an economy with a stable macroeconomic situation. But then the problem is, again, the people skill and availability. So that is one problem that we kind of, now encounter every now and then. So the point I'm trying to make is this. There are many issues, like, the entrepreneurs will tell you maybe 10, 12 major factors, but we need to focus on just 4 elements if we want to improve the competitiveness of our ICT sector. Okay. From the same Rapid survey that I have been referring to, so last year, we are kind of quite optimistic to see the farm level efforts by our entrepreneurs. They are doing a lot of good work. And I can give you some example. For we asked, what is their current focus, what they want to achieve over the 2 to 3 years. Most of the entrepreneurs, about 45% of them, they told us that they have invested heavily into language kind of work, Python-based machine learning and other activities they are investing into. But again, 16% told us that they are working on blockchain technologies. So you see the variation. We also found out firms that are working on data science. So overall, the mix is quite good. What we need to do, we need to do two things. We need to improve our competitiveness, number one, and then we need to scale up so that we can supply more. Okay. And we also found out that Bangladeshi firms, they are proactively upgrading themselves. So the question that we asked them, think about the 4 IR components and where you do think the Bangladesh is going to see significant impact. And most of the farm entrepreneurs, they told us that they think cloud-based software is going to have most significant impact on Bangladesh. We then asked them the areas where you are working, and they said that they are working in particular in area of machine learning, and to some extent they are also working big data analytics. So again, quite diversified attempts we're seeing by the farm owners. Now, to conclude this presentation of mine, I'm going to provide a few recommendations. And when it comes to recommendations, I know you would like to have 23 recommendations, but again, I would like to make our policymakers focused on 3 or 4 things. The more you add to the list, the more likelihood that they are going to lose attention to the demands that you are asking for. And it's not possible to address all the demands. So here's the thing. Here are my few recommendations. Number one, and we need to understand this very clearly. Number one, I would suggest let's depend policy incentives to our farms. When I say depend, I mean increase the policy incentives. So maybe currently they are getting 10% cash assistance. I would say make it 25%. Why do I say this? This is quite unusual for an economist coming here and telling that you need to increase incentives to farms. But I'm saying so because after 2026, when Bangladesh graduates, 23rd November 2026, Bangladesh graduates from LDCs to general developing countries. After that date, we cannot provide subsidies to our export sectors. So the window of opportunity for us just over the next 3.5 years. After that, that window is going to be closed. So it's high time, let's give incentive and make sure our exporters are expanding their export base, and that will be tremendous helpful. So that's one. My second priority will be, and this is something I'm going to recommend strongly, is that we need to invest heavily in terms of bridging the skill gap that we have. And that work should start right from today. Otherwise, we won't be able to export more in the coming days. I would also like to urge the policymakers that we need to improve our digital infrastructure, the connectivity, the internet speed, and the cost. They must be improved in a manner that will make it possible for our exporters to be competitive, not only for the global economy, and as you probably would recall, that I mentioned that ICT sector's growth is also important for building the competitiveness of non-ICT sector within our domestic economy. And that goes from agriculture to manufacturing to services everywhere. So that is something probably we need to do. My final point will be in terms of the priorities that we need to also think about looking for investment, particularly foreign investment, you see. That is so important because when the foreign investors come in, they bring in technologies, they bring in management practices, and that is so helpful for being productive and ensuring economic growth. I think I have covered almost all the points. I don't want to take you through all these, but my final thing will be whether this is going to be $5 billion by 2025 or not, we should not fall into the victim of the fact that we may not be able to achieve that mark. But for me, the main thing is we need to have a clear-cut medium to long-term plan. This is a sector where we need to be productive, we need to be competitive. We cannot make any compromises with this because this sector's efficiency, as I have repeated several times, is going to improve competitiveness of overall Bangladesh economy. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Abdul Razzaq, for a beautiful presentation. So we have got a wonderful keynote by Dr. Mohammad Abdul Razzaq, Chairman RAPID. Now I request all the distinguished guests and the chief guest, special guest, and the panelists to come to the stage. Please, Kabir bhai, can you accompany them? Come to the stage. ওখান দিয়েই বলবেন, বসে বসে বলবেন। I request all of you to have, please take your seat. At this moment, I am handing over the mic to the session moderator, T.I.M. Nurul Kobir. So, Kabir bhai, please continue. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Thank you very much. I was carefully listening the keynote speaker, the wonderful presentation he has given, but he has also given some special input for the panelists for discuss and review the whole plan and the research he has done. And this is an excellent research. I must say that Bangladesh currently in that pace is moving forward as government is declared that by 2041 we would like to be a smart country. For making a smart country, we need to be smart in every respect. For achieving the goal of 5 billion as per the rapid experience of research, very nicely economic aspect he has mentioned that how we can achieve in the per annum growth of 15% or 20% or something like that in 2030, 4 billion or 5 billion and where we can go. I think the expected growth and vision is setting up with some base. And also, he has mentioned that Bangladesh is the second largest supplier of freelancer, and that is another unique situation for Bangladesh. And he has given some key reason why ICT export growth continuously growth will be justified for few reasons, and that is actually interesting. And I also agree with him. He has given some challenges, and maybe someone can disagree, those who are practicing. Government initiative, I must appreciate our ICT division secretaries here. The government has given so much facilitations for last several years. The industry is now so much confident, and the software and IT services companies, growth sector, as from his data, I have really surprised that some of the companies' growth rate is so good. But the current, our export official data is 1.4 billion, and we are expecting by 2025 is 5 billion. But according to the research, how we can actually expedite that? You see, we have a biggest asset for this industry is human resources. And he has mentioned very categorically, skill is the main, I must say that only issue, the two most important issue, one is skill, another is connectivity. That's why we have so many freelancers are using their services or providing their services, if it is Kustia or Rajshahi or Rangpur, Dinajpur, where it is, it doesn't matter. He needs a connectivity, high-speed connectivity. So, and then another BASIS role is very important. I will come back to that. BASIS has actually contributing an instrumental role working with the stakeholder inclusively, how this industry and country can grow like a hub of the international destination for the IT-enabled services exports. I think another few reasons we can see that since now we have few success stories are there. I don't like to prolong this, rather I like to engage. It's a very long panel, and I wanted to interact all of them. And the last part, what he has summarized, our keynote speaker, which is also need to be analyzed properly, that the recommendation he has given. So, let me start with the discussions as our BASIS director and the director in charge for the international market has given introduction to all the panelists. But thank you very much, His Excellency, the Ambassador of European Union. It is for you a learning, maybe, as you said before, but we can also give you some information and responsibility also, how we can actually integrate with Europe and Bangladesh and enhance our involvement. And our Honorable Secretary, welcome, because you have just taken the responsibility and this is such an important ministry which is connected with all the ministries and all the stakeholders. Excuse me. So, I would like to start with some of the panelists coming all the way from Malaysia and Trinidad, because you have a definite interest about Bangladesh. I would like to request Mr. Dato Eric Kofi, the co-founder and executive director of E-Train Group. My point of view is that you are here in Bangladesh, you are representing a company and you have certain desire. And I would request you, when you are actually assessing Bangladesh, why your choice is Bangladesh. And I would request all the panelists, since the time is constant, and try to make your reaction short and specific. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think just like you all saw the screens, right? The top 5 investments coming into Bangladesh, right, for ICT. One of them is Malaysia. I think that's why I'm here. I'm Malaysian. I'm actually wearing an official costume of Malaysia. So this one is official in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. So now, of course, I think I heard about, because my business is in talent development, I heard about Bangladesh for very, very long. And there's a pool of talent here. Even though I came here, many mentioned it's like the talents are not skilled enough. But then to many countries, Bangladesh already have a big pool of talents already. If we talk about these topics, right, to achieve 5 billion, because I do a little bit research, right, by year 2025, the total ICT export is 1.3 trillion. And only on the software exporting is 400 billion, right, by year 2025. So for Bangladesh to achieve 5 billion, I think it is reasonable, because it's just 1.25% of the total world ICT software development exports. right? So this one I think is very feasible. So despite of all the challenges that mentioned just now, I think infrastructure, I think the country is moving fast. When I landed, I can see it's like a lot of development, a lot of construction everywhere. I think you all are doing well. Things is moving, is building, and then all the way come from Utara to come here. I see the highway, even it's still in building. I see many infrastructure is there. And then in terms of education's gap and all these things, is like I see a lot of university are here, and many of the international school are coming here as well. So to me, it's just a matter of time because every country from to go into the developing country to go into this developed country, it really need times. But one thing for me, I just want to add on one challenges that you might be facing just to for every software developer here, because there is globally there's a sustainability issue. Everyone is looking into ESG. So if you are ICT organization, you might need to look into that as well. Because if you don't have your sustainability or ESG reports and all these things, you might not able to export. So it might be a tie bomb to you for this moment of time. So this is something that you might want to take note. But overall, I'm very optimistic, right, on your target at this moment of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have seen that in Malaysia, Mahathir Mohamad has given a vision, and long before, and there is a separate region he has built up, Cyber Jaya. So that has actually given us a lot of lessons. We, from Bangladesh, our government, private sector visited and learned lessons from their Malaysian planning and the development. But now coming back from Asia to Latin America. So we have a panel member here, very distinguished panel, coming from Trinidad, and Mr. Dexter Riley. And he is actually, I was talking before this event, he is so optimistic in his body language and also the way he was talking. I was really surprised that in Latin America, a person coming to Bangladesh explore the opportunity, how to collaborate. And I would like to listen from you about the Trinidad and Latin America, how you are growing in this IT sector, and why actually you feel that Bangladesh is another destination for Latin America.
Firstly, I want to say thank you very much to BASIS for inviting us to this distinguished conference. We look forward to participate and contribute. As indicated earlier, my name is Dexter Riley, and I work for a convenience and energy marketing company. And someone will ask, why? Why are we in this space? What we have seen is that there's a lot of similarity between Bangladesh. There's a lot of similarity between Bangladesh and the Caribbean. Our people look the same. Our culture, the foods we eat, the sports we have passion for, the sports, cricket and football, etc. Very similar. And in the Caribbean, we have similar economic challenges. We have a history of oil and gas, tourism, minerals, etc. But those industries are mature. And there is a need for an injection of innovation to extend the life of those companies, as well as of those industries, as well as an opportunity to shift our economies towards a green and blue economy. The concept of a green economy is where we protect the environment, and we look at how can we, although we have industrial products, still expand our economy without damaging the environment. And the blue economy is where the governments are concerned about how to maximize the tourism experience. So what they're looking at is taking an inventory of the ocean around the different islands. And the ocean, the real estate is significantly more than the island itself. But to be able to take advantage of that, those opportunities, we need automation, we need big data. And Bangladesh, we have noted, is a rising star in that space. And thank you. And what we have traditionally done is go to the traditional markets like China and probably the US to access these services. And sometimes they cost us a little more than what we can get. And the flexibility and the focus on the customer is not always the same. So when we wanted to move our business forward from being a mature industry, we looked at opportunities within our core business, and payments was an opportunity. And we decided to enter into the fintech space. So once we put out a bid, we thought that we will include the non-traditional markets. And we saw an article in our local newspaper where Bangladesh was a great source of coding and ICT services. So we included Bangladesh sector, among other territories like India and in the US still, and domestic practitioners. And we got a brilliant proposal and a brilliant partner in a local Bangladesh company. And we've been working for the last 2.5 years, and I'm very proud to say that Trinidad is now contributing about $500,000 in exports in terms of the ICT services sector to Bangladesh. And we feel that that can grow. In Latin America, the value of the ICT imports is $117 million, and it's growing. All the territories and the countries in that area, the governments recognize digitization as an opportunity to reposition themselves, reimagine themselves, particularly post-pandemic. And Bangladesh, instead of us having access to your services and your product, going to North America and then coming back to us, is an opportunity for us to establish a direct relationship. And that speaks to another opportunity in the garment industry. Latin America imports $61 billion of garments every year. And what we notice, while Bangladesh is a supplier at about 1.8 billion, there's an opportunity to increase that because, again, there's re-exporting. It goes north and comes back to us. We can establish a direct relationship. We have the same culture. We look the same. We eat the same foods. And we have the same heroes. So our interest in Bangladesh goes beyond just the technology and excellence and the brilliance, but it's the passion for the same things and similarities in our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your heart feeling is Bangladesh is rising star in IT-enabled services and software and IT-enabled services. Thank you for your experience sharing. Now, I would like to again point out that our keynote speaker has mentioned some challenges, which is infrastructure, skill, investment, and also other costs. But my point to the learning and earning is a very good project for ICT division. Ashne? Okay. However, we can learn it from our secretary later on. Now I like to request Mr. Humayun Kabir is here. Not here? No? No. Okay. So we can go to the Rashid Kabir. He's another director of BASIS. And I just like to listen from you because BASIS is the center point. BASIS is the instrumental for, because government is the policy maker, government facilitating, and government partnering with BASIS and expecting BASIS to grow this country's economy by serving IT-enabled services or software services. But can you actually elaborate the basis role for making a knowledgeable or knowledge-based economy by 2041? What is the plan of basis? And since our baseline is 1.4 billion export, which is we are targeting for 5 billion.
Thank you, Nurul Kabir Bhai. Honorable Chief Guest of today's program, Honorable Special Guest, distinguished panelist from Trinidad and Tobago and Malaysia, my industry colleagues, and the audience you are present today. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. You know that the topic of today's seminar is how we can achieve the target of 5 billion USD by 2025. It's a topic we have been discussing about last 5 or 7 years. It is a target that has been given to us by our Honorable Prime Minister. All of you know that, and it has also been covered in the keynote presentation, that during 2009, our ICT export was 26 million USD only, which is right now 1.4 billion. At 2018, we had the target of reaching 1 billion, and we have covered that. We have achieved that target. And we have another target, you know, that 5 billion by 2025. So from the statistical perspective, you can see that we have a promising growth, no doubt about that. But the thing is that that growth is satisfactory to achieve 5 billion USD by 2025. And of course, you know that as a trade body, as the apex trade body of the ICT Association, all the ICT Association of Bangladesh plays as a very vital role. Most of the points, I think that has been covered in the keynote presentation, but I want to add 2 or 3 points that has not been covered in that presentation. I want to address those points. First of all, I want to talk about the skill gap. And I think it's a very important topic. I'm sure that there is no IT companies here in the Bangladesh who are not suffering about the IT resources, skilled IT resources. So, you know that there is a lot of demand. If you talk about from the European countries, from the countries like Japan or South Korea, from the USA countries, there's a lot of demand of the skilled developers. And for every month or every week, we get the requirement, look, we need Laravel developer, we need Java developer, we need .NET developer. So there is a requirement of both the traditional technologies and the advanced technologies as well. For example, we also get the requirement of, we need developer of AI, Python developer or blockchain developer. So if we want to achieve the 5 billion target, so first of all, we need to focus on developing our human resources, both on the traditional technologies and on advanced technologies as well. Because although we are talking about 4th industrial revolution technology right now, there is still huge amount of demand of traditional technologies from countries like even like Japan or European countries. There's a lot of requirement of traditional technologies. And if, as Nurul Kabir Bhai said, we have another target of 2041, we want to be smart, we want to develop a smart Bangladesh. So to achieve that target, we have to develop resources in the advanced technologies also. And you know that BASIS also is working with, not only with the government, but also with the academia to develop the human resources. BASIS is also a, you can say that training center BITM, and also we are developing some human resources from there, but that is not satisfactory, but that is not sufficient, I should say that. Because to achieve that target, we want a tri-party meeting between industry, academia, and the government as well. And the second point I want to highlight is that we want to be focused and we want to target our market. Just like when we talk about our ICT export, we always talk about Japan, we always talk about Europe, or always talk about the USA. But there are some other markets also, just like Trinidad and Tobago. We are also exporting our software to that country, that Latin America countries or Caribbean countries. Besides, there is a very niche market in the African region. You know that, you'll be surprised to know that we started Digital Bangladesh back in 2009, but right now there are many countries of Africa, just like Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Cameroon. They have also started their digitalization journey in different names. Digital Nigeria, Digital Cameroon, Digital Ghana, and many other names. So there is a huge scope that the Bangladeshi companies who have been skilled in e-governance services can replicate their services to those countries. Of course, to achieve that is not a very easy task. We want to government level support and policy there. And I think our Honorable Secretary is present here. He will also look into this matter. So we can also target that market. And third but not the least, we admit it or not, our marketing strategy or marketing skill is still very poor, or I should say that it's not up to the mark. If you compare with the India, if you compare with the Philippines or Vietnam or other competitor countries, their marketing strategy or branding strategy is much more higher than Bangladesh. So we always talk about the developing software engineers, but we do not care about our marketing resources or marketing persons. So we should also look into this matter as well. And last but not the least is the country branding. Basis, of course, has a role there, but besides basis, it should be a holistic approach with the government as well, because it's not the thing that any company can do it alone or only basis can do it alone. It needs to be done by all the stakeholders, like industry, basis, and the government as well. So, saying that, I want to conclude here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As you mentioned, the skill gap. I think that was also coming out from the research. The skill is one of the area. But I like to touch upon the biggest strength of Bangladesh right now, demographic dividend. The 60% of the youth population in this country who embrace the technology so rapidly, and technology is the actually main driver of this country, where we only need to brush up certain things, how we can do that. But few data actually giving me some attention. The Export Promotion Bureau has given that the export of software and IT enabled services growth rate is so good, and that is 23.63% in financial year 2019, and 22.86% in 2020, and 9.88% in 2021, and 94.91% in financial year 2022. What a growth. I think this is actual export figure. There are some, I must say, some export is not being reported properly. There are some dim export, which is, researcher also mentioned, that we will talk about that later on. But if you see the market, there are few market that BASIS has identified, that Japan, Middle East, USA, UK, and Europe, those are actually leading the targeting to Bangladesh and taking service from Bangladesh. And we must actually talk about those countries. But I like to introduce a person or a company with all of you who has actually tremendously demonstrated in BPO company, IT-enabled service company in Bangladesh with a 500 people? 700. Okay, 700 people are working. And is a young person. He is Mr. Kausar Ahmed, we call Nirav. উনি নীরবে কাজ করেন কিন্তু সরবে বাংলাদেশের উন্নয়ন করছেন. I like to hear from, talking you few words in Bangla, that his Bengali name is Nirav, means silent, but his action is very, very prominent. So I like to hear from you that how you actually making such a success story for Bangladesh, and how do you actually branding this success story to others. Is the audience here, how many are actually aware about this company? Only few. In this room, people are not very aware, but we have to beat our drum that the company, there are many companies, I'm so confident that basis members companies, there are so many success stories, so many stories we can brand. Kausar, we like to hear from you how you actually build up this position and how you like to brand it for the benefit of the growth of Bangladesh for reaching the 5 billion target.
Well, when a person like you appreciates the work we do, it gives us immense pleasure and motivation to do a lot better. So thank you. Your Excellency, Honorable Secretary, distinguished panelists, and everybody here. Thank you so much. I am very glad to be here. Long story short, because it's a long story, my entrepreneurial journey or my journey in ICT industry actually started from Basis Soft Expo, which was held in 2008. I was a brand promoter. I was a call center executive back there, and we didn't have anything to do, so one of the companies hired us so that we could stay in one of those booths and present the services. So I was trying to sell Microsoft Dynamics CRM over there. So right now my company name is the Cow Company. So we have a product which is called Cutout. So we do content post-production. So whatever you see in Amazon or any other web shops or websites, you guys go click add to cart. The photo that you see or the video that you see, and now these days the 3D productization that you see, we do these kind of stuff. Now, for me, I mean, it all started with I always wanted to work in the global market. So my suggestions or my need or whatever I feel that the industry needs, I'm going to say the same thing. So I hope that makes sense. So I started and figured out that what do I want to do? Who are my customers? I identified them. I tried to figure out who the exact contact person is. I mean, in a company, it shouldn't be the CEO, so I figured out who the exact person is and started cold emailing them. So I had a list of 2,000, 3,000 companies. I kept emailing them. Only 2 responded. 1 turned out to be my customer. And that's how it literally started. So I started with my own computer. I hired 2 guys with their computers. And then now, here we are. For me, the way the industry is going to move forward is access to global market. I wouldn't be here today if I wasn't able to get the visas, go to different parts of the world, participate in the trade shows, try to understand the culture, try to understand the challenges of the global companies or the companies that we do work for. What are their needs and what are the challenges? I mean, we have so many things to offer, but we cannot just say and go and say that, hey, this is what I offer, take a pick. No, it doesn't work that way. So we have to understand the ever-changing needs of each and every single customer who has an interest in outsourcing or who has an interest in Bangladesh. And I think access to global market for our entrepreneurs is a big challenge. When I was 25, when I was 27, I started traveling to Europe. It was, not a good experience. I was anxious, I was nervous whether I'm gonna get the visa and all that. Now imagine a guy sitting in one of the divisions in Bangladesh, for example, Joshore. This guy runs a 25% company. Now he has identified a trade show in Germany that he wants to be. Unfortunately, he doesn't have confidence that, oh, am I gonna get access? Am I gonna get the visa? How am I gonna be there? So, Your Excellency, you are here. For all the entrepreneurs, I think the nations who are our friends should make things easier for our young entrepreneurs to travel, see the world, and fight for their quality. Because we have the offerings, we have the, opportunities as well. We have a reasonable price point at the same time. But if these guys are not able to be visible, it's a big challenge, it's a big task. And I consider myself extremely lucky that I was able to have those accesses, but unfortunately, there are not a lot of people. And I'm not talking about the companies with big companies. I'm talking about those guys, those baby companies, I say, 5 people, 10 people. But these guys, they have to pack their bags and travel and fight for their jobs. That's one thing. Another thing is, this is going to be very short. So how many of you know Adobe Photoshop? Raise your hand. Brilliant. How many of you know ZBrush and Substance Painter? Only 2. Skill gap. In order to fight at the, Colosseum of Industrial 4.0, we gotta start moving to these technologies. So we are talking about AR and VR, but we are not talking about ZBrush and Substance Painter, the basic tools to implement those services. And I think our educational institutions, Rashad said, Honorable Secretary, you are here as well, the industry should need help from the academics. Yes. That's about it. I'm not going to be, prolonging my conversation. So glad to be here, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think Kausar could not explain or disclose many of the international brand because of his NDA. I know personally his company is serving many global brands, those we are actually proud to use, that is actually creating animations or marketing tools and many other things from Bangladesh, from his company. Many of you are also working in some of the companies. Now, you see, I mentioned about that there are few countries. Bangladesh is one of the destination to supporting those countries. That is US, UK, Japan, Middle East, very significantly mentioned. But there are many European countries, we know that they are also working with Bangladesh. But I like to focus right now a little bit Japan. Japan is such a country, it's very tough to enter into this country because of many reasons. You know that language, their culture, adopting their own communication and others. I like to introduce a person who have been a passionate for long time to build up this market, and now he is leading Japan Forum from the basis, and he is the basis director and the director of international market development. You know that AKM Ahmedul Islam Babu. My question to Ahmedul Islam Babu, that I will give you the mic. Your passion has never stopped you with biggest challenges you have faced. We know you for a decade, that you have made a friendship with Japan's many companies, your export destination, Japan, and you are such a wonderful personalities that you don't like to do alone. You like to work together with other friends or bases. So that's why I like to request you, please share the challenges, number one, how to enter the market, and how you actually achieve that. I know that today afternoon, before this event, there was a session with the Japanese companies with ICT minister, and Babu was actually coordinating the whole event. And share how Japan can be one of the biggest actually customer for Bangladesh and friend for Bangladesh for meeting the target of 5 billion. Over to Babu.
Thank you, Kobir bhai. It's my pleasure knowing your introduction. Thank you very much. Honorable Chief Guest of today's session, His Excellency Ambassador and Head of Delegation, Mr. Charles, and distinguished panelists, and Honorable Secretary, Ministry of ICT. Actually, it is true. You know, Japan is a very, very hard destination to us because of the culture and because of the language. It's totally different. I have started my Japan journey in the year back 2000, in the year of 2000. 2004, I was first visit Japan, and I had a stall in the Jetro Pavilion, and over there, my pavilion, Bangladesh pavilion, beside the Sri Lankan pavilion. So one Japanese come and like look after, coming and going and look after my stall. And suddenly I call him, please come to my stall. Then he said, oh, where are you from? I say, I am from Bangladesh. Okay, so do you have electricity? So he asked me, do you have electricity? I said, yes, certainly. And we are producing software, and we are giving you the knowledge about our software capacity here. So okay, that is one of the point that you are producing software, but we know that you have lack of electricity and a lot of social problems that you are facing. I say, yes, we have. Beside that, he's also asking, what is your promoting here? I said, that time, 2000 back, it's a 2000, it was a jute was the first product, and garments is just coming up. So he says, okay, beside my pavilion, there's a Sri Lankan pavilion, and Ceylon tea is very famous in Japan, very, very famous. He is saying that this is the branding that you need to have to establish. After that, it struck my head. Then 2015, in the basis board, Rashidul Hassan was on the board, and he approaches me. We want to make a Japan, he was also working with me, and he approached me, hey, why don't we make a Japan forum, Japan focus group? It was a discussion started. We started the journey in the year of 2016. I was the first convener of Basis Japan forum, focus group, and we started our journey. From 2015, we started to going to Japan IT Expo Spring. Every year we are now consecutively participating. You will be happy to know from that point, Japan is now the third largest earning country from Bangladesh, where we are earning $1.4 billion among third is largest. And yesterday we had a session, the other room, Honorable Ambassador was there, ICT Secretary, he was there, and also Secretary for Foreign Affairs, he was there. And we promise, in the year of 2031, Bangladesh ICT export we are targeting is 20 billion, not 5 billion. So we are targeting 20 million. And Japan should be the #1 country among the other countries. So this is our target. So how we can achieve it? We are continuously promoting the Japanese brand. We are continuously monitoring them, continuously promoting the culture and all those things. And you'll be happy that this February we signed the MOU with the JICA that upskill promotion will be supported by the JICA. ICT Secretary is here, so we signed a tri-party agreement, JICA, government, and first time in the history, BASIS, that JICA is funding directly to the BASIS, that there is a upskill in the ICT sector. So this project is coming. So by this project, we will promote all the latest technology that will be the useful for the Japanese ICT industry will be taught over there. And this is one of the things. Another thing is, I was talking several days with the Dexter, that Caribbean countries, I don't know many things about Caribbean. He is a customer of our most successful companies here. I don't want to mention that name, but I should. Feddos, one of them, is the board of director. He introduced me, the director, and I just came to know blue economy is one of the issue. And yesterday we had a session here, and blue economy that we are targeting more than $1 billion by this year. So this is another target we are targeting. And this is for the not only the mariner, but also the latest technology. And Bangladesh already adopted all those, almost all those technologies. and also my friend Eric. Eric, this is the first time visit in Bangladesh, and he is amazed about our progress. But he has some suggestion. So we are promising him all the suggestion between these of these distinguished guests. We will discuss with our Honorable Secretary and push the all the suggestion that how Bangladesh can adopt this kind of technology to upgrade our skill. And we are promising that 5 billion is our next target, but not. We are targeting 20 billion by next 10 years, by next 7 years. So be with us and confident about you, about it, that Bangladesh will learn. Thank you very much, Kabir Bhai. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ahmedul Islam Babu, for your journey of Japan and success with Japan. And we wish that, as you mentioned, not 5 billion, it's too small. We want to make it 20 billion. So, not only Japan, we can target other. We will talk about that. But before going that, our special guest today, none other than our ICT Division Secretary, who is actually from the policy side. Sir, you are leading from the policy side, as our Honorable Prime Minister has declared Digital Bangladesh in end of 2008. Many of our countrymen has laughed about that. What a joke it is. But now it's a reality that Bangladesh is connected. During the pandemic, nothing stopped, and that infrastructure that ICT division and other government agency has built up, from which Prime Minister and government office and health, education and many things we can perform very perfectly. But even that, there are a lot of challenges. But our Prime Minister has a very visionary leader. He has given another vision, that 2041, that smart Bangladesh. And where that is the 4 pillar she has mentioned, that smart citizen, smart government, smart society, smart economy. So, one of the backbone of all these is the connectivity. The connectivity is the backbone for making smart Bangladesh. And from the ICT division, you have our very dynamic, very own person, our State Minister for ICT division, so passionate and confident and leading from the front and building Bangladesh ecosystem and ICT destination. As a secretary of the ministry, you are also proud, definitely. But our keynote speaker mentioned about so many challenges. Still, we are having challenges. But as a secretary, when you look into the smart Bangladesh, talking every places, every seminar, every talk show, every places, every research, what is the practical situation? How you like to achieve 2041 smart Bangladesh?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. T.M. Nurul Kabir, Chairman, Standing Committee on International Market Development and Moderator Basis. I have a written speech, and I mentioned many things in this written script. So you will find many things from here. Because if I tell from I think that it will test. So it is better to read from this written scripture. Thank you. Respected moderator of this session, Mr. T.M. Nurul Kabir, Chairman of Standing Committee on International Market Development. Respected Chief Guest, His Excellency, Mr. Charles Whiteley, Ambassador and Head of Delegation, EU, European Union Delegation to Bangladesh. Keynote presenter, Mr. Muhammad Abdul Razzaq, Chairman Research and Policy Integration for Development, RAPID. Distinguished panelists, I can mention the panelists and also Mr. A.K.M. Ahmedul Islam Babu, Director, Bangladesh Association of Software and Information Services BASIS, Mr. Rashad Kabir, Director, Bangladesh Association of Software and Information Services BASIS, Mr. Dexter Relay, Mr. Dato Eric Kulifi, and distinguished guests and audiences, Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. I would like to start by paying my deep respect to the father of our nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and 3 million martyrs of our liberation war and our language martyrs, because of whom we got our great independent country and achieved the freedom to speak in our mother tongue. We have come a long way since then, and today we stand tall among the nations as a role model for development and digital transformation, making remarkable progress in global socio-economic indicators. Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina declared the Digital Bangladesh vision in her election manifesto on December 12 of 2008. Today, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and the guidance of ICT Affairs Advisor Mr. Sajib Wajed, an architect of Digital Bangladesh, we not only achieved the targets of Vision 2021 or Digital Bangladesh vision, in many areas we have exceeded our targets. Bangladesh today is a middle-income developing country. Bangladesh stands at the pedestal of a new growth curve of rapid digitization, driven by technological powers and inventive disruptions, driven by government initiatives, relocating to every level of nation's growth story. Government's proactive and progressive leadership has been successfully guiding the nation during COVID-19 pandemic. Infrastructure like 39 high-tech and software technology parks outside Dhaka, Sheikh Kamal IT Training and Incubation Center in 64 districts, vibrant startup ecosystem made over 2,500 tech startups, internet penetration crossing 160 million, growing adoption of digital devices make the critical pillars of support ecosystem for Digital Bangladesh. Industry need focused training and management capacity uplifting and efforts from 150 plus educational institutions go into preparing the large workforce in science and technology in the country. Unfolding of low-cost global connectivity through multiple fiber optics links and Bangladesh's own satellite and investment-friendly public policies and incentives are among the major growth drivers of Bangladesh's IT sector. Success stories in the space of digital services like digital financial services leading to cashless society, e-commerce, software innovations, startups, high-tech assembling, and global outsourcing at the online marketplace have already started to emerge. According to the recent data, our ITES market is over $3 billion with $1.4 billion in export and $1 billion in local market and growing at a pace of 40% per annum, which used to be 10% per annum from 2010 to until 2016. But if you count commerce and hardware market, then our digital economy is standing at $5 billion plus. You can see the pattern here as the government started investing after 2008, started developing and adopting to favorable policies, infrastructures, which in terms started contributing to the growth of the ICT industry. With over 130 million internet users, 4,500 plus IT/ITES companies, 2,500 plus startups with their constant contribution, Bangladesh achieved a digital boom in multiple sectors. E-commerce market has grown to $3.1 billion business with over 624% growth since 2010 and is expected to register another 8% growth by 2025. Bangladesh has become a global role model in adopting digital finance with over 102 plus million MFS users. Adoption in the digital device has also become a major economic phenomenon with an average of the 29.3% growth every year. One more very important aspect we adopted, that is the human resource development. If you look into our projects and programs at the ICT division, you will see that we made IT skill development a continuous process because we know that with changing skills out worldwide, our youths need to be upfront with their skills too. Here too, we saw a change over the years. From 2013, we focused on the basic and advanced ICT skills as a core program to develop our youths. We continued doing this until 2019. In post-2019, we realized our youths have now achieved their basic ICT skills. Therefore, in post-2019, we focused on emerging technologies such as blockchain, machine learning, artificial intelligence, VR, cybersecurity, etc. Basically, we started building our skill set for the future technologies. And in the meantime, we initiated building Sheikh Russell Digital Labs across the country. And you know, we have 13,000 of such operational which are helping our kids to have an introduction to the technical knowledge. 300 plus schools of future are also there. Along with that, we also connected students in the universities by building IT training and incubation centers within their campuses, and 137 labs have also been built as a measure of our commitment to develop skilled human resources. Within this period, we have seen success of our made in Bangladesh products, such as Walton emerged. We started manufacturing, assembling our mobile phones. We came up with world-renowned MFS solution because our software products started exporting to the global companies. We got to see the rise of a vibrant startup community bringing global investments in Bangladesh, and we started adopting to the emerging technologies to stay ahead of the curve. Also, we are looking to connect with the global markets by highlighting our industry champions. From our EDGE project, we have appointed a team who will work to take our local companies global by providing advisory and contact supports to bring them more business in Bangladesh. A similar initiative was taken during 2017 and 2019 period, and we saw a positive outcome. And this time, we have increased our expectations and set our targets higher. A lot has changed over a very short period, and this will not be it. We'll see many more developments in coming years. Anyway, I believe Bangladesh has the potential to achieve $5 billion export target very easily. We have the ecosystem, we have the skill set, we have the support, we have the commitment. We just need to put our efforts together to make it happen. Let's work together to build a better world and a smart Bangladesh. Thank you. Jai Bangla.
Thank you, Honorable Secretary Muhammad Samsul Arifin. He joined this ministry not very long, but he has already made a friendship with the industry, and that is very important and key for the future success and policy level. You know that technology is evolving so fast that the policy should need to be updated regularly, otherwise we will be lagging behind. Thank you for your update. Now, I'd like to go to our chief guest, who is actually representing the whole Europe, the European Union ambassador to Bangladesh, Charles. Charles, actually, he's actually trying to make more business collaboration between Europe and Bangladesh. I can share you, Charles, in basis, I believe it was in 2005, 4, something like that. We got support from European Union in 2 projects. Each of the project has 100,000 US dollar, and we made a partnership with Denmark, Germany, France, and UK. And our entrepreneurs got the understanding and orientation how to market in the Europe and how to make IT services more popular in European market, branding Bangladesh. Today, as I said in the beginning, we have some demand to you as well, because you are the best advocate I know since you joining Bangladesh. You are the one of the instrumental for us how Bangladesh IT and software services industry can upscaling, like JICA is coming up with some support. Why not European Union coming up? The gap we have, the skill upscaling, and to making more marketing skill and connecting our entrepreneurs. Like our entrepreneurs are long time going to CeBIT in Germany. I know it is 15 years or 20 years back when first time we went to CeBIT, there was a headline, Mission Impossible in Deutsche Times. I was surprised. What happened? And they said they had an impression, perception about Bangladesh. But seeing is the believing. I was in Denmark after our project. There is a Danish national television was taking an interview to me. She was asking, Bangladesh has so many problems. How do you promote Bangladesh in Europe? I said, can you see in the world there is any country do not have any problem? It can be small and big. You must see the other side of the coin. Bangladesh already collaborated. At that time, 15 Danish company, they have opened their joint venture in Bangladesh. If Bangladesh has a problem, why Danish company coming to Bangladesh? Because they like to expand their market in Denmark to whole world by leveraging with Bangladeshi smart developers. However, you know that we have so many targets, 2026, our LDC graduation, 2030 SDG, and 2041, our smart Bangladesh. I want to listen from you, and I believe that audience and the panel also like to listen from you how we like to achieve those targets with the help of you.
Thank you, distinguished moderator, and thank you, Honourable Secretary and distinguished panellists. I think it's been extremely interesting to listen to Dr. Razak's keynote paper and what the different expertise of the panellists has brought to the discussion. I think you said at the beginning that I'm here to learn, and I have to confess, you probably saved the worst till last in terms of knowledge of the ICT sector and the technical aspects of it. I think my colleagues in the EU delegation despair of me every time I ask what blockchain is, what the Internet of Things is. I must have asked about 15 times, and they're probably giving up on me, but never mind. I do know a little bit about trade with the EU. I think my first point would be that there's every potential in the EU market, and I was a little bit disappointed when I heard the figures, when I hear that the EU seems to be lagging behind in terms of the interaction with Bangladesh, and not quite understanding the speed and the depth of the changes that are happening in Bangladesh and the huge potential that the ICT sector has. I think if I diagnose that, my first point would be, and you referred to it, that probably funding and attempts to artificially stimulate interest aren't the best way to go. When I was first posted in Bangladesh in 2005 to 9, we had millions and millions of euros in trade-related technical assistance. And the key overarching goal for that TRTA was to try to diversify the export basket. And now, 18 years later, garments are just as dominant as they ever were in terms of the percentage of exports to the European Union. It's hovering around 90%. So I think change will come from the industry itself here, but also from encouraging a better understanding, mainly through business voices in Europe, of the potential that Bangladesh has to offer. And I think Mr. Islam Babu's example is very instructive in that regard. Somebody who went to Japan, learned what the market needed, learned how to matchmake and bring Bangladesh to foreign countries. And I think slowly but surely the ears of European business are being prized open, and they will understand that there are opportunities to be had. You see that in different sectors, and that's one of the reasons why we're now in a position to open the European Chamber of Commerce. 10 years ago, that was a pencil idea on the table, and everybody said, this will never work. There isn't the interest in Europe, because it will involve mainly European business, and there probably isn't the diversity of business contacts that would justify such a Chamber of Commerce. Now we're here, and now we see the huge interest from different sectors of business, from logistics to food processing to ICT, and to traditional industries like shipping and garments. The interest is there, and what you need are champions, I think. And setting up the European Chamber of Commerce, we're going to begin with champions from different sectors. And European champions who will say, we came to Bangladesh, we took a risk. People said, what's happening in Bangladesh? It's beset by disasters, this old-fashioned perception of the country. They came, they saw, and they understood. And their profits speak for themselves. Because when I sat not so long ago with a table full of Danish entrepreneurs, they were moaning a bit about red tape, saying, well, this is hard in Bangladesh, the internet isn't that speedy, a litany of complaints. And so I said at the end, well, why are you here then? And they said, because we make a lot of money. And that's the bottom line. And in Europe, in the ICT sector, huge opportunities will open up for Bangladesh business and Bangladesh expertise. I was just seeing the figures in terms of our annual investment in the ICT sector in Europe. It's $1.3 trillion by 2026. But as we discussed yesterday in the panel, there's a massive shortfall in know-how and brain power, because by 2030 we'll have 8 million vacancies in the ICT sector in Europe. So we need places like Bangladesh with youthful new ideas, with improving technological wherewithal, with improving infrastructure, which you see all around you in Bangladesh. I think all of those are key ingredients that will say to European business, this is a place that can deliver reliably, and where better to look than Bangladesh. So I'm very optimistic. I hope if we sat here in BASIS 2028, we'll be able to say, 20% of this huge trajectory of growth that Dr. Razak pointed out on his graphs. I hope we'll have a significant slice of that pie, and I hope Japan won't be dominating everything. So we need to work together. I think there's every opportunity to work together, and certainly what we need to see is a removal of some impediments to foreign investment that are still there in Bangladesh, to make sure that people that take a second look then put their money where their mouth is. And I think the government has an interest in that, and we have an interest in that, and we'll be pursuing that in the coming years. So thank you again for this opportunity. I think BASIS has been a fantastic rallying point for international interest in the ICT sector, and I hope Europe will play a big role in that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Charles, you mentioned very rightfully that the journalist who has 15 years back written the Mission Impossible I'm looking for that journalist to bring to Bangladesh. Seeing is the believing. Like to see mission is possible. And in the figure, as Charles mentioned, that Europe is not significant. That's why we need to have a significant engagement between EU and Bangladesh, how we can actually make it significant in our journey. Because in the Europe, there are several countries, they are getting services from our companies. These are small freelancers are giving services to the EU countries. So maybe we need to have a long-term engagement, how we can build up a relationship between EU and Bangladesh. I think we wanted to wrap up the session, but before wrapping up, can I go in one question to one panelist, and in 1 minute, what do you want to say? There are few discussion going on. Before going to that round, can I actually give a floor to our keynote speaker, who is basically a good researcher, and his presentation has eye-opening. And would you please react some or have some feedback or some, and in the meantime, I like to acknowledge the presence of BASIS President Russell T. Ahmed. Thank you, President. Okay. Over to.
Thank you. Thank you so much, for this opportunity. To be honest, it's a great sigh of relief for me. I'm doing because, when I came here, I thought this is going to be extremely technical audience, and you are. You know the subject matter so well. I am a kind of an economist, I do a lot of number things. But to be honest, I learned a lot. I learned one thing. It's not the numbers, that matters. It is the dedication of people. You see, the stories we heard from Babu Bhai, and then our successful, I didn't even know you, but it's a pleasure and privilege, to be able to meet you. But I would like to add what our Honorable Ambassador has pointed out. You say, if we want to bring in European investment, please, let's find out what are the impediments, in the investment policy matrices, the problems are. We need to get them. I think that is the key takeaway for me, you see. The ambassador has nicely pointed out, in the Europe, there is this learning is going on. They're noticing Bangladesh is doing well. Now we need to do our part as well. Government, that has given us a lot of name in Europe. But in the arena of ICT as well, I think, if we can sort of attract investment, that will be a genuine game changer, for us in the coming decade. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And in your presentation, you mentioned 4 key challenges for Bangladesh. One is infrastructure, skill, investment. Another one is investment cost or something like that. But I like to add one more, branding. So, can I go to Kausar, said how Bangladesh can brand effectively to world destination, can say, wow, we didn't know Bangladesh is doing so much,
Well,
in 1 or 2 minutes maximum.
Yeah, so for me, it's pretty simple. If you have a service offering, if Bangladesh has, as a country, we have something to offer, we just have to go and tell them that, hey, this is what we are this is what we are offering. Matter of fact, in the content post-production industry, the industry that I am in, nobody actually knows how many people, how easy it is to scale up in Bangladesh. Matter of fact, I am speaking at a conference, I'm giving a keynote at a conference in London on March 10th, specifically designing. So I am titling the presentation called Behind the Scenes of Behind the Scene. So what happens in Bangladesh, and I want everybody else to know that, hey, we are a hotbed. You guys should put, as Your Excellency, you just said that, put money where your mouth is. So yeah, that's about it. We have to just go and say, hey, we can do this. That's about it. Then it's all about test and patience.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I like to also request BASIS Director, please, is Rashid Kabir. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, Rashid, from the basis board, I can see the passion. Your president is a branding person, is a marketing dashing hero. Eh? How basis actually planning for branding Bangladesh, as you ambassador mentioned, that in terms of number, that EU is far behind than Japan. How we can actually give a confidence to EU that how we can actually branding ourselves through basis.
Well, our president has given a formula in the opening ceremony, 3:3 formula. That is, the government, the industry, and the academia needs to work together, first of all. And second, in terms of branding, you can say that we need to do a lot of B2B meetings. We need to do a lot of seminar and expose to the foreign countries. We need to invite them to our country and tell them, look, Bangladesh is doing this, Bangladesh is doing that. We have a fantastic skilled resources. We have a expertise in this, that, or that type of technology. We have an expertise in advanced technology. We need to tell them. So I think that's the way we should move on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rashid Kabir. And now I'd like to go to Dato Eric. Cool. Malaysia is, in our mind, is a changing place. All of a sudden we heard that Cyber Jaya, Cyber City, or something like that. And that has branded very efficiently. And what lesson Bangladesh can learn from Malaysia?
Okay, maybe I just have a show of hand. How many of you went to Cyberjaya before? Only 1, 2, 3, right? Maybe Cyberjaya, now you go there, you only will see big houses, bungalows, very big house. And then same to like you go to Rickman's of United States or Hangzhou of China. This one is just to show that like how these tech giants make money, how much money they make. Right, of course, when you go to all these places, it's like when you have a place like that, the young people will see, wow, actually you can make money with technology, right? If you go to Rickman's, each of the house or the backyard, they have the boat there, right? So this is a place that like kind of like encourage the young people. Of course, when we started many years ago, 20 over years ago, it's also a tough. So you go there, you see deserts, right, and then a few buildings. But after that, then when we have more proper policies that encourage FDI, actually all the top 10 India outsourcing company are in Malaysia now, in Cyberjaya. Wipro, Infosys, right, Sakyang, all of them are there. So this is the place that's like, what Bangladesh can learn is like, I think, other than your own startups and own companies that you build within the Bangladesh itself, you should attract all these big tech giants to come here. Now, I tell you what is the reason that we do that as well. Because when you grow your talents, it takes time. University, it takes time. What is the best way for your talent to learn is get all the tech giants to come here, right, to do R&D. Right? Imagine Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Meta, all these AWS, they come to invest into Bangladesh. They build their R&D. And when people here graduate and work for them for a few years, and then they learn a lot, it's faster than you learn in any of the university over here. And the good thing is like a lot of these talents, at the end of the day, after they work for a few years, they will come out to do their own startup. And when the time they come out to do a startup, their startup no longer like just outsource software, right? They will do it high level, doing AI, machine learning, IoT, cybersecurities, right? So this is what Malaysia Cyberjaya is doing in the past 20 over years. And then now our talents is actually moved up one level, not the lower level. But you see, the one higher level talents or companies for outsourcing, they can make money more than like if you have like freelance of like 100,000 of people, right? Because you do, yes, it's a tech job, but it's a bit low level, your income will be low. But when you do a high level job, your income will be very big. And that's why now you go to Cyberjaya, you see all big houses. Because the bosses of all these companies, they make a lot of money. So I think this is one thing that what Bangladesh can learn. But one thing Bangladesh have one advantage that Malaysians is always envy of. You have a huge populations. We only have 30 million, right? You have 170 million. Can you imagine what 170 million people can do? And now Vietnam is also one of the big outsourcing, software outsourcing country, but they only have almost close to 100 millions. So I think Bangladesh have huge opportunity. That one I definitely very sure. Of course, educations will come along the way, and as what I mentioned, get more FDI in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, a Malaysian story. We always like to follow Malaysia in some areas. You see, I like to come back to Secretary for one thing, that in the 4th pillar, the last pillar was mentioned, the smart economy, where mentioned that 2041 government is expecting the estimated overall ICT economies will be 50 billion, and at least 50 unicorn startup will be dominant in Bangladesh market. This is fantastic figure. How optimistic you are. What can I say? You have it.
Thank you very much for your good question. Our 4 pillars to build up our smart Bangladesh, you know that a smart citizen, a smart government, a smart society, and a smart economy. But I think that before going all other smart, we need the smart economy first. Because you know that if we have a digital currency system, we can pay our tax very easily. When you go to your some restaurant, but they are taking VATs, 15% VATs, but do you know that VAT are depositing to the NBR accounts? It is very difficult to identify that tax or VAT is deposited there. But if we have the digital currency, we can ensure that VATs or tax is going to the proper accounts. And also, we can, you know that, sorry to say that corruption also can be reduced, because nobody can, there will be a blockchain system.
But you are confident that startup will be contributed for 2041 target.
Yes,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Confident. Thank you very much for your question.
For that, one of my humble requests, sir, make a journey more stronger collaboration with the industry. I believe that industry will make your hand more stronger. You know that we have a guest from Latin America. We heard about his countries and something like that. But you know that we have a tremendous growth of mobile connectivity in Bangladesh. And we have a mobile financial service and other tools, and we are targeting for cashless society as well. Just in 1 minute, can you tell us that how Trinidad in that stage, where they are?
Thank you. Well, I just want to reiterate that Latin America and Caribbean represents the potential of $117 million in ICT services that can be supported by Bangladesh. And our economy is evolving to solving the challenges of legacy industries. We have been doing tourism and oil and gas and minerals for a long time, and we need an injection of innovation. Bangladesh is well positioned to bring its talent, the flexible service, a customer-oriented approach to helping us do that. And we can share what we have learned from our industries. Our effort in cashless trust and payments is associated with post-pandemic needs. You know, where there's, all over the world, there's a shift towards contactless payments, etc. And we are making the same trust and working with Bangladesh companies to achieve and deliver that to our customers.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much. We are almost finishing our session, and I would request our director in charge later on for giving the vote to all, but the ambassador, as I mentioned, that 60% of the population are young. In any statistics in 2022 mentioned that 20 to 24%, 20 to 24 age group is 9%. In 2022 in Bangladesh. And 25 to 29 is 8.72%, and 30 to 34 is 7.34%, and 35 to 39 is 7.6%. But if you see that 60 to 64, 3%, 55 to 59, 3.4%. In that scenario, how you see Bangladesh strength? And because in many discussions, from the keynote speaker to all the panelists, mention about the upskill, the skill set of the human resources. In that perspective, what is your suggestion? How we can actually working together for the best practices from the Europe?
Thanks. I mean, I think Bangladesh has this enormous pool of youthful talent, that's clear, and an increasingly well-educated pool. I mean, you see in Bangladesh many new universities arising. We're in the EU moving away from supporting primary education to supporting technical and vocational training, which is because we see the potential and the desire on the Bangladesh side to collaborate in that area. But as you know, Europe is aging. I mean, in some of our European Union member states, we're barely not only aging, but the birth rate is falling quite markedly. I think of Italy. And Italy is one of those countries in the EU that's most keen to develop what we're calling talent partnerships with Bangladesh, where we facilitate the movement of young people to Europe for 3, 4, 5 years to bring their expertise and skills, learn new experience in Europe, and then come back to Bangladesh. So then all sides benefit. It's not a brain drain, it's not stealing talent, it's cooperating with talent. So I think this is a huge strength. As the colleague from Malaysia mentioned, you know, smaller countries, and yesterday Winnie, the Danish ambassador, mentioning that tiny country but punches above its weight. Bangladesh can certainly punch even more above its weight as a huge emerging, developing and developed country by 2041, and all the ingredients are there. So I hope we see youth fulfilling their potential, and certainly we want to be collaborating with Bangladesh in that area. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the panel members for your valuable comments and contribution, and especially the keynote speaker and our special guest, Honorable Secretary. This is a very inclusive discussion, I believe, and I believe this outcome of the session, not only the discussion, BASIS Secretariat has taken note. There will be definitely an action plan based on the discussion. In this perspective, I would like to request Ahmedul Islam Babu, our BASIS Director and the Director in charge for International Market Development, to give a vote of thanks of this session.
Thank you very much, Kovid Bhai, for wonderful moderation of this session. You know, our session was reaching US $5 billion ICT export earning by 2025. So it was a wonderful keynote and the panelist discussion, and also later on the special speech by the Honorable Chief Guest and special guest and the panelists. Yes, certainly BASIS has taken all the notes from your inputs and suggestions. We will make a comprehensive report and will share with you and also the stakeholders. And at this moment, I must thank all the panelists, including Dato Eric, Dexter, Kausar, Rashad, and And also, definitely, I must thank our Dr. Mohammad Abdul Razzaq, Chairman, for his very elaborate keynote and a very like a meaningful keynote. Obviously, I must thank to our special guest, our Honorable Secretary of ICT Division, and last but not least, our chief guest, His Excellency Charles, Ambassador and Head of Delegation, European Union Delegation to Bangladesh. But I must thank to all the presence here that you listen very passionately here, and we understood that this is a actually tech session kind of thing, and you enjoy the session, and hopefully you gain some knowledge over here. And please suggest us if you have any, and Basis Secretariat will also take your notes if any important note come from you. With that note, I must thank to Rashidul Hassan, and he has gone through a tremendous journey to make this event a success. All the event, he is not sleeping, I think, last 10 days. So
Can I request Rashidul Hassan to stand up? Because he is actually the driver for all the sessions in the Soft Expo. He was the former Vice President of BASIS and currently the Advisory Committee Chair. Thank you.
And also for the panelists, chief guest and a special guest and the moderator, keynote speaker, please give a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I request, please, we have some token of appreciation for the chief guest and panelists. Please come forward. Chief guest. We will take a group photo, but at this moment, Rashid, can you join with me, please?